Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Pollard, the Consumer Goods and Services Sector Lead with Esri. Welcome to today's webinar, The Evolution of Location Data with Site to Do Business. We're happy to share this webinar with everyone in the industry today. Joining us for this webinar is Dan Kaplan, Commercial Specialist and Senior Solution Engineer with Esri, and Nikki Parapovich-Stifel, Consumer Goods and Services Industry Marketing Lead with Esri. They'll be showing you step-by-step how to quickly enhance your real estate analysis with location and ultimately win more business. You'll also see the new enhancements and data sets now available in Site to Do Business and how to use them to your full advantage. Please feel free to ask questions throughout using the Q&A tab. We'll be answering as many as we can at the end of the discussion. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties, please use the chat feature to ask for help with that. The recording and accompanying presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. Nikki and Dennis, welcome and thanks for joining us today. I'll turn the show over to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, CCIM Institute, for hosting us. Dennis, it's great to be on here with you.
Good to be on with you.
So we're really excited to connect with you today and leading up to the CCIM governance meeting next week. You'll definitely see Eric and Dennis there along with Helen and Chris Cardone, many of you who are familiar with them. We're really very excited to meet with you there and talk to your colleagues about your successes, business strategies, or even the most basic questions you might have about tech, data, or analytics. So today we're delivering on a number of member requests. There were 3 areas in particular that topped the list. One was diving deeper into the data available in STDB, Business Analyst, discussing new enhancements and learning new ways to add value to your client's business. So those were the 3 S's. So exactly that. Dennis is going to be diving into the evolving sets of data available in the context of your workflows for measuring, comparing, planning. He's also going to share one of the new quick report enhancements that will be available in the next couple weeks. And then as companies are looking to better understand the impact of climate change or other issues on their properties, to plan for the future, to assure the sustainability of the area that they're doing business in, we're sharing a new resource that's available for some climate analysis and risk if that's important to you, your business, or your clients. But we want to first start out with a poll today. And so I would like to poll this one to get to know you a little bit better in a webinar. So tell us about your sector. Which type of properties are you primarily working with? You can go ahead, take your mouse, the poll pop-up has come on, and you can go and just click one of the items and it will populate here over the next few seconds and we'll see the results. Excellent. Let's see our results. So we've got a primarily retail-oriented group with some industrial office, multifamily, very little hospitality, and some health. So Dennis, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. This is really helpful, this poll. So thank you for doing the poll. What I wanted to do here is basically just go over a little bit of primer, to before what we're talking about, and just kind of go over what the Site to Do Business offerings that we have, we enable you with. And, really it's all about who are your customers, what do they like, and how do you reach them? But, we with, geography like to take this a step further as well. Where are your customers located? Where can I locate them? And it's really, in your business is how do you optimize your footprint in a market? And we do this with an application that Site to Do Business utilizes called Business Analyst. And it really helps you evaluate locations, understand customers, and analyze markets. And we do this by making it really easy by combining all the demographic data that Esri has, as well as business partner data, combining that with maps, putting that into analytical workflows, and then taking those workflows and putting them on intuitive reports and the new icon-based infographics. So what I'm going to be doing today is showing you some new exciting information products that are going to be coming to the SDB dashboard, Site to Do Business dashboard, in a few weeks. And then also, there's some point of interest data that's been available in the application for a while, but I think just make the users more aware of how to utilize that data and what are the different data sets. But before I do that, I just wanted to remind everybody that with the business analyst environment, we make it really easy to evaluate locations, from doing what's called color-coded maps or thematic mapping. The smart map search is find areas that meet a demographic criteria. And then the business listings or business and facility search is something that's really nice to be able to understand the demand, the competition, and even the complementary stores or locations that are near your potential location or existing location. But what we also do, though, is take that a step further and make these analytical workflows. So business analyst was always, it's a nice site to be able to go in and put an address down and get some information for a site. But let's take this to a step further and let's do site selection with a whole bunch of locations, and let's score those locations, see which one's the best. So the site suitability, availability, and business analyst web is next level. It's taking it to the next level. But we also, with the business analyst web application, we also have a desktop application that's associated with the business analyst web application that lets you do territory design or some entry-level sales forecasting capabilities. So business analyst has a mobile application I think you guys are aware of, the web application, but there is a desktop application as well too. And then, as a lot of people on the phone know, that business analyst enables you with those market insights and being able to summarize data for those drive time areas or the radiuses with those nice infographics and then the tabular style reports. And what's really nice about these is you can utilize the Esri data obviously in the reports, but you can also bring in your own data and Esri data on the same report. So it's very flexible. I've been using this environment for a long time, and where it's at now, it's pretty amazing. But right now, what I wanted to do is just go into the business analyst environment and basically bring some awareness to some of the data sets that you may not know that were there, and how to utilize those. So let me get out of this PowerPoint here. So you guys are all familiar with the SDB dashboard and the business analyst environment launching site here, launching to our ArcGIS Online environment here. But let me go into business analyst here. So a little bit for some people that may be new to business analyst. Business analyst is the solution application on top of Esri's ArcGIS Online environment. You have your home page with your projects. You have your map, your reports, and then you have a lot of other interesting information up the side. A lot of ways to add traffic counts, different boundaries. And the big thing here is to switch to different data sources. So if you go to Puerto Rico or Australia, and so it's not just a US-based system, and wherever you see this gear icon, you can switch to another data set. But the thing that I like to show a lot of customers too is I'll work certain trade shows, and they'll say, how do I know how to get an address in there and get a trader and a report, but how do I learn more? And I just want to point this out before I go into my true demo. But guided tours is something that our product team put into the application. I think it's really useful to just get started with business analysts, but not really just to get started, but to take it to the next level. How to create infographic templates, how to use site suitability. There's videos on these as well too. So just a quick primer, maps, reports. There's a lot of functionality off to the side with annotations and measuring, zooming in, zooming out. The guided tours is something I really want everybody to be aware of. But also, the main part of the business analyst environment is the tools to do your analytical workflow. From importing an Excel file to creating that color-coded map, and I'll be diving into this points of interest in a second here, but to defining areas, from typing in an address or a lat long, selecting zip codes, or drawing your own trade area. Some new items that have been added, site suitability, suitability analysis, void analysis. This one was just added. Grow a drive time until you get 10,000 people. That's pretty exciting to be able to say, I know that it's going to take about 20 minutes to get 50,000 people that are my customers that can come to my location for a retail location. And then the new things are some of these items have been here before, but sharing your information. So how do I get this information beyond a report out to other users utilizing the rest of the Esri environment? And these are great ways to share your work. But let me go into really the meat of what I wanted to share with you guys today, is that the different POI or points of interest data sets that are available in the business analyst environment. And the way I want to do this is there's many ways to enter an address into the environment. And there's obviously the defined location or find location where you can type in an address or type in a lat long. I like this here. A lot of people, I'm just going to show you some little tips and tricks here. See this little, it's so small. This little arrow here. It's like add pin, type in a zip code, zoom to an area, search for a Home Depot or search for information. This one's really nice here. I'm just going to type in this address here and click enter. So this is going to take me into the Esri office down in Charlotte. And what I want to do is I want to create a site around this location. And I believe a lot of people are familiar with this process, but we're going to do a 5, 10, 15 minute drive time around this location. And with this trade area around this location, what I want to do is I want to create some information. I want to find some points of interest around this location. And this is the meat of what I wanted to show you here is a lot of, I don't think a lot of people do, but there might be some people that do know this, but down here, it's pretty small and hidden, but you can query different business listing data sets that Esri offers to you. You're a retailer, you're looking for competitive locations, fast service restaurants or fast food restaurants, or you're looking for quick service restaurants or pizza locations. You're industrial, you're looking for your warehouses or industrial locations. You're looking for urgent cares for medical. But what this is down here is 3 different data sets that you have access to search different business listings. And each one of these business listings has, its strengths. I think they're all really good. And you're like, when do I use which one? But I'll just tell you what they are, and you can utilize them as part of your research. So Data Axle has been around for a long time. We've utilized them a lot. They used to be called Info Group. And Data Axle, what nice about Data Axle is they have, let me just open up some business listings so you can see the attributes, because that's really what it's all about, is I pre-processed some stuff here for this. But Data Axle, I did some urgent care locations for the area. Let me show the table here. Data Axle has what's called modeled, I'll say modeled, number of employees and sales volume, and they have a square footage. So that's nice to be able to say, I know how big is the business? Is it a headquarters? Is it not? So that's something about Data Axle I really like. The one thing with Data Axle though is when you export the data, it doesn't export with the full address. So I can go here and click on this urgent care and I'll see a full address as a one-off. But if I want to export this data out to an Excel spreadsheet during the process of querying the data, it will not export the address. See, I just took the address field off here. It's at Redstone Highway 74. It doesn't have like 123 Hoffield Way. So Data Axle doesn't give you the full address in an Excel file, but it does give you modeled sales and employee numbers. SafeGraph is a really good data set.
We have a couple questions, Dennis.
Go for it. Yeah.
You're talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost, so what period of time does the sales data include, those estimated sales volumes?
Well, the data is updated quarterly, so I'm assuming it's part of that quarterly update for the data. So in my next tab here is basically the data documentation for the data sets, and Data Axle data. I'm believing that it's updated, since it's updated quarterly, it's for that quarterly time period. And there's
Absolutely. And one other question for you, Dennis. Obviously other people on this call have specialties in areas besides just retail or subsets of retail. One of them potentially being something like self-storage. So I know you'll hit on a few of these in a moment, but some of the ways or tools with which this data can help ID underserved areas for something like self-storage would be of interest.
Oh, good question. So what I did here is, I thought it was interesting, is that the way you can utilize the business data is, using either Foursquare data or SafeGraph or Data Axle, is you can obviously get the information on the map here to view the information, and you can see the holes or where there might not be a self-storage or a Walmart location, because I did Walmarts as well. That's one way to visualize the information on the map. And I haven't run one here, so let me just close this here. So just to run a query for the business listings, it's pretty straightforward. There's some differences for each one of the data sets, but most of them you can type in Walmart, type in Starbucks, type in urgent care, or you can use the categories here, which I think is really nice, that we've done a great job of, electric charging stations. But you'll notice though, when I switch to different data sets here, like SafeGraph, the categories change a little bit. So there's different categories for SafeGraph. And then if I switch to Foursquare, a little bit different listings here. So they're a little bit different to query. Some of them you can query by NAICS and SIC. Oh, sorry, there's a Foursquare code, I know that. But some you can do by NAICS code. Data Axle you can do by NAICS and SIC code. So there's different ways to query the data. But let me just kind of go here and type in urgent care. Or I could have done self-storage, sorry. Let me just get, for this demo purposes here, typed in urgent care. You're given the data here, and you can view the full table, or you can export the data to Excel directly from here. You can also do a better job at symbolizing or putting the data on the map by changing the symbology or changing the clusters. But this gives you a way to get the information on the map. That's one pretty quick and easy way to do this. Let me clear the map here. Let's just turn these off right now. Another really nice way to get a quick look at the businesses in the area to see if there's a lack of businesses in the area is to run what's called a report, or a nearby report, or it used to be called a competitor locator report around an area. So I'm going to run what's an infographic around this location. And basically an infographic summarizing the information for those trade areas, the 5-minute, the 10-minute, or the 15-minute, summarizing the demographics. This is my default infographic that I have coming up for the area. So it's more of an economic development profile report that I have. What's nice about this one here is you can see the segmentation, or the tapestry segmentation around here. So I know that most of this area, well, it's actually 16%, 14%, but Professional Pride or Bloomberg's is what makes up this area. But what's nice about this is I can go over here and switch from an economic development report to switch to, maybe I want to know what restaurants are around this area. And this is where I'm going to get to the concept of, I can run this nearby restaurants infographic and see what the restaurants are around this area in the 5-minute or out to the 15-minute, and which is really a great way. Well, I can do this is right here. And what I wanted to say is, anybody ever been to Ted's Montana Grill? It's the best jalapeno margarita I've ever had, but that's just a side note. But you can run this nearby infographic, and this is a nearby restaurants infographic, and this is an Esri pre-created infographic. But what's great about these infographics is they're easily, I'm not going to edit the infographic for you, but they're so easy to edit that I took this nearby infographic for this address and I changed it down to my infographics to urgent cares. So it's the same report. I changed up some of the data down here, but now I'm looking at an urgent care infographic. So I know the urgent cares are in this area. And what's really great about these urgent cares is about this infographic is I don't have to when I go to a new site. So I'm going to go to a new site in another state. I don't have to go and query the business listings like using the business listing tool. Let's just go into Portland here. And I'm just going to use the click on the map method here. I don't have to go and basically export the urgent cares. I can just run the urgent care infographic. I don't have it as my default one, but we can run the urgent care infographic. It makes it super quick to not have to export. It's a great time saver. So now I have the urgent care infographic that can run nationwide anywhere I want, and then you can export this out to a PDF image or a dynamic HTML for other folks to send to folks, and then they have all the interactiveness that we see here.
Thanks for answering, Dennis. One follow-up, I think, question to the sales data. Might be a little confusion on the indication of the data as annual sales, but then quarterly as the updates. Can you confirm that for us?
So I'll be honest, I don't work for Data Axle, but we can get you or we can follow up, or I can get with, I know the administrators on this Site to Do Business account, and we can get the data documentation for Data Axle about how they do their sales.
Yeah, and I can add in there that I do know that those sales data numbers for volume are annual sales estimates.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know.
That one I'm confirming. And then I think you've answered this question a little bit already, but just to clarify, do lists or export lists from those businesses show ownership and contact information? I think you said that it depends on the source, correct?
Depends on the source. I believe let me see. I think Safegraph might have the owner name. Let's just do, usually you can find a Walmart. Let's see if we get lucky. So it's looking at my maps extent. No, brand name. I don't think it has the owner name or contact information for any of them, but let me, we'll do the same thing for Foursquare, just to double check here. Oh, did I type it wrong? Yes, I did. And then I think after this, we're going to switch it over to a poll after this question here. But this is the Foursquare data attributes, and it does not have ownership information. So it looks like all of the data sets don't have ownership information, but I know the Foursquare and the Safegraph data will export with the address information, where the Data Axle data will not. Oh, and this is interesting too. It looks like they have the Foursquare will list the different NAICS codes that it's under. That's pretty interesting. And NAICS and the Foursquare data just came, I think, online with business analysts in the past few months. And what's really great, I didn't tell you what the good part about Foursquare is it's worldwide data. So Data Axle, US based, it's got sales and employees model data. Foursquare, great data for the US. Safegraph has basically more human movement data behind the scenes. So if you contact Safegraph, they're able to get you more like visits to that location. And then the Foursquare has sort of the similar information, but it's a worldwide data set. So I think right now, before we go into the next subject, I wanted to open up to the next poll question.
Great, Dennis. Let's bring up the next poll, which is, of the 4 major data sources available in Site to Do Business, which do you use frequently? I'm not seeing it pop up quite now.
Where's our poll?
Waiting.
There we go. Cool.
There we go. Excellent. Take your mouse, click on your areas. This is multiple selection. Some of you may use all of it, but those are the major categories. And I know in my experience, demographics, business listings are so critical, but you find that a lot of companies don't know about psychographics and the consumer spending and market potential. And when they do, it's just, it's a whole new world of data and information. that really improves the metrics and planning. You're doing a great job explaining these things so well. So let's just check it out here. What are our results? Business listings somewhat. And I must say, for so many companies, having that global access is a game changer, as well as, for some of the model data and specific contacts, that's also critical. Lots in demographics, some in psychographics, and quite a few in consumer spending. Excellent. What are your reflections on that, Dennis?
I think I thought psychographics would be higher. And it's surprisingly consumer spending and market potential high. But this is cool. I mean, it's really helpful. Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. So I'm going to move on to the next subject here. So everybody's familiar with the Site to Do Business dashboard. And I was working with the Site to Do Business admins, Ben and Carol and Amanda. And I said, would it be great if there was something new on here in the coming weeks to be able to get in and out and get a report really quick? And they're like, yes, that would be great. We love business analysts, but sometimes you just want to get a quick report. And so something will be coming in the few weeks, will be something like this. I'm working with there'll be a splash screen with some directions on how to use this. But this is a really simple app to just click on the map or type in an address and get a report. It's utilizing the business analyst environment in the back end, but it's basically something like this where I could click on a CBSA. We have some information about the CBSA. Click on this CBSA. We have some information about this CBSA, but then you're given some options here. You can run, and these are the reports that I have configured, but definitely when the admins on the Site to Do Business site will configure the reports that you guys want to put in here. But this is basically saying, I want to run my nearby restaurants reports, or I want to run this particular economic development report. Click on the map, run the report, and then basically export that report. It's very simple, quick report environment. Same thing that you saw in Business Analyst, is just a different interface. Likewise, if I wanted to, let me see if it's still on the clipboard. It is, nice. Type in an address. I go to that address. I can basically run a drive time or a ring around this location. Let's do 5 minutes. Click apply. And we can run a drive time around this location. If my computer has got a black screen. Come on, what's up with that? Let me refresh this app here. When you do a demo, you basically have the app sitting there waiting. Here we go. It probably got stagnant, I'm hoping. There we go, yeah. So basically I can do a drive time. We'll do 5 minutes around the area, click apply. And this will be all configured in the back end with the Site to Do Business team. But here I can run at the same reports, or I can run a tabular report. I can run that the demographic and income report for this location at the 5 minutes, and then I'll download the PDF. So quick reports, I think it's going to be very useful. Pretty exciting to be able to have something new on the Site to Do Business dashboard, to be able to come in and just type in an address and get a quick report. What we've included in this map here, though, if you noticed, is some flood data. So you'll be able to get a reference on what the 100-year flood data looks like around the area. Another option here too is, they go click back on the home, just so we go back out, is clicking on this, the CBSA, or I can type in San Diego. Oh, I can put an O there. Type in San Diego, and then we can get to a location that way as well too. So it's a pretty quick section here, but I think it's going to be a very useful way to get a quick report. It'll be interesting. Yep.
Can you possibly show us one of the psychographic infographics, and also describe the difference between the psychographics and the former retail gap analysis?
Well, let me open up this one here, because I know there's a psychographic infographic panel on this report here, just because it's ease of access. And then on the second page of this report here, this is for the San Diego, basically this, I think it's basically San Diego County. It's telling you what the most of the people are like around in this area. 7.6% of the area is made up of what's called Pleasantville type people. And we can go to the full profile here, which is kind of nice to get a full report of what a Pleasantville type person or family is. And there's many different segments for our tapestry environment, which is our psychographic data. And you can run these for basically drive times, standard geographies like I did here. And it gives you the percent composition of what that area is, made up. And what's really nice is basically gives you what the market profile or what they prefer. And it's interesting too. So if you're in California, let's say there's no Kroger in California, or there's no HEB grocery store in California, but it might say prefer shopping at HEB, but you have to kind of do, okay, what's the analogous in California? Because it's using the survey database for that. But this is really interesting to be able to find what your customers look like, and then you can go into other markets and find more customers like that. Now, the retail gap, that's interesting. So that gets into the subject of a void analysis or report. And this is this report here where you can basically see who's there and who's not there. Let me clear this map here. Let me just clear this except for this site. Oh, let me go to the site that's open. Kind of jumping all over the place now, but I think it's okay. Let me zoom to this site here. So when you run sites, you're obviously going to get stored into the area. I'm going to run an analysis here for this site. And for this site, we're going to select a study area. It's going to be basically the currently on the map to keep it simple. And for this site, I want to know basically who's in, you can see the, what is it, the 15-minute drive time, and then they have a reference area. So what businesses are in here, what businesses are in the reference area, and then you choose the businesses by type. I'm going to keep it, and just like we did the business listings earlier, you can choose the business listings data source that you want to use for this. So I can switch to a SafeGraph here. And then just to keep it simple, instead of doing restaurants, generic items, I want to do the urgent cares because I thought that was interesting. And this way you can see, what businesses are, where are urgent cares, and then where, where's the gap, or where there's not urgent cares. And the way this works here is we've talked to a lot of customers. They just wanted to see the voids first. So who's not there in my area? And then after you see the voids, then you're able to see, well, how far do you have to go out to get a certain company? So this is the actual family urgent care is within the area. There's many different reports that you can run for this though. I was doing this wrong. There it goes, export. And you can run this out to Excel. And let me get this guy open here. So this is our version of a retail gap to see who's not, or who's there and who's not there.
Dennis, follow-ups as well after the retail gap. We have some questions on that last infographic that you showed as well. The fact that the black background might be hard to print. Maybe you can discuss how they can adjust that. And then also talking about the flood data that we have in the application. We might get to that a little bit later, but how often that's updated.
Yeah, the black background, all of the reports are customizable. You can change the background to any color you want. There's a whole infographic editing environment in the business analyst application. It's pretty fun to kind of work with them. I'll just kind of build infographics. I'll just kind of show you the environment real quick here. So here's all these infographics that are there. Here's my templates, and this is the one I was working on the other day, urgent cares, had a manufacturing one, a pets one, but here's the other one. So you can go into these and many different colors and change them any way you want. A lot of people, what they do is they start with the standard templates. They open it up and they'll basically edit that one and then do like a save as and just save it to, as one of your templates. There's a lot of great product engineers that created some really good reports here, and you can, edit this this infographic here, replace this infographic, change the text, change the template itself because it's blue. But yeah, there's a whole you can take a whole course, or a whole day training or a couple hours training on infographics alone, but they're really useful and interesting to get into. That's just in a nutshell. And then that's where there's a tapestry or psychographic template as well too for that as well. What was the other question? Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, so some of the flood data, how often is that updated? I believe that might be some of the map site information in there.
Yeah. So, Esri, we have a lot of USGS or curated data from FEMA and other data sets that are made available to our customers. And I believe that data, I can look up the actual vintage of the data, but I'd have to, I kind of got to go into it to look for it. But let me go here. We'll kind of jump in. We're just jumping all over the place here. Let me go to going to the back end here, because I had the link the other day because that someone asked me this, but this is the back end environment for basically what business analyst runs off of. And then in here, I'm going to my map that I created, the CBSA map. And I'm trying to find that one layer, which is this US flood hazard zone layer. And this will give us the metadata or the details. So this was created in 2018, but it was updated just as soon as August 23rd. And then there is all the documentation behind the scenes for this on the FEMA data and where this data came from, basically. So hopefully that helps. Looks like it's been used just a few times, 46 million times. But hopefully that helps with that question. And
I think that was good.
Yeah, I think this brings us. Oh, sorry, go for it.
And one more point I make is that there's historical information and boundary information like this based off of historical trends, and then you can find feeds for data out there for things like current earthquakes or current wildfires or current environmental disasters ongoing. So do understand that both are available to you through ArcGIS.
And that's a perfect lead into the next poll question. So if we can get the next poll question up there, that'd be great.
Excellent. So this is definitely thinking about, the sustainable approach to location of facilities, of hospitality, of our retail, and what's happening in those areas. And that's a key part of some company strategies, either from a reporting standpoint or from a planning standpoint. So how important is climate risk and analysis to your business? 1 through 5. And that would be 5 being the most important.
We should have some Jeopardy music or something.
30 seconds is a long time.
I know. Dead air.
And the answer is?
I'm curious.
I am too.
Huh.
It's a range.
I thought it would be more, I don't know, middle.
I think we've got a middle of the road. I think that people are still companies and organizations are still figuring out the strategy of how much of that matters to them or not. I think a lot of it's place-based. Very interesting. Thank you so much for your polls. So well, let's show them something else new.
Yeah, so that was a perfect lead into something else that may be coming to a Site to Do Business dashboard near you. based on that poll and what we've seen in the market is, people are more interested in environmental risk around businesses and how that may pertain to you know um, companies, how that may pertain to an investment. And so we found, or being Esri, we work a lot with the federal government, and the White House just came out with this application, and basically just came out with this climate mapping for resilience and adaptation. And it's basically off of this site here. And there's an assessment tool that I thought would be, oh, this assessment tool would be, it's public, you guys can go there right now. But this tool would be a great tool to put on the Site to Do Business site. And the user guide, I just wanted to go over here because I thought this was it just made sense. Basically, it's a single source for historical and future climate data. So if you're looking to at a property in, well, Florida's, with Hurricane Ian, but if you're looking at a property in Florida, you want to know, what's the potential for flood, or you're looking Colorado, maybe wildfires, California, earthquakes. So you want to know basically what's the potential or historical or future climate data, in the area. And so the White House came up with this application that, it's built off of Esri environment, but they have some great data sets in there that thought it would be very useful for this environment or this group. So the way that this works is, let's see if I do have it on the clipboard. Nice. So you type in an address into this environment here, and it defaults to counties, but you can go to census tracts. And really what it's telling you here is, what is the, how many days are above 105 degrees in this area? How many days are, above 100, 90 degrees? What's the drought situation in the area? What's the drought situation in the future? So it's looking at a lot of different data, such as wildfires or flooding in the area via, charts and data. But then there's another environment here where you can explore the map. And I think this is just great just to have knowledge about the sites that you're looking at. I thought this was really interesting. When you look at annual precipitation about 3 inches, it looks like, Charlotte and Monroe area are a lot more inundated with more rain than, the I call it the Waverly office in Charlotte. So you can switch from different data sets here to get a, wildfires. I don't think it's that huge in the Charlotte area, to drought, no coastal inundation because it's not on the coast, but different ways to look at different data sets in the area in a public app. I mean, I think this is just great. But then what I love is that our team took this information and then created a complete report out of this. So this is something that if you do have a customer or you're looking at a certain business location and you want to get a better handle on how do we get some of this information out of this application, it's basically utilizing our product engineers do great work on this, an infographic for this. So I can see, basically, up to 2030, 2050, 2085, what's the expected historical and expected, heat, extreme heat in the area, or drought, or wildfires, or flooding in the area. And this particular report, you can export this out. And what's nice about this report here, compared to your business analyst web environment, is when you export out of this application, they only allow image, but there's no credit charge for this. So this is a free public climate, basically, report that you can get out of the applications. And I thought this was something that just tweaks it up a little bit between demographics and business listings and, price per square foot and, a lot of different information that, the Site to Do Business or the CCIM environment look at for properties. It's now starting to look at what's the environmental impact or the environmental risk around a property of interest or your current properties. And with that, I turn it back over to, I believe you have another poll question, or do I turn it back to Eric at this point?
We have one question for we can just put it right in the chat. It's an open form question, and the question is, there are definitely a lot of amazing data sources that are within Site to Do Business. However, is there some data and analysis that you would like to see added? Just go ahead and type that right into the chat, and we'll monitor that and then tally it up. We won't be tallying it up on the call. We'll save you that time.
Just
And
type
now
away. Type away.
Eric, before there's typing in the chat, are there any more questions?
Yes, we do have a few questions. I think we'll give everybody 1 minute to finish typing in their data chat here, and then we'll go ahead and take at least a few more.
Excellent.
You guys have me going all over the place today. Usually you stay in business analyst, but I broke out of business analyst. I went to Archis Online.
Well, it's important to point out, the other elements of the environment and all the other data. We didn't even touch on the Living Atlas and everything that's available there.
True.
So maybe we can do that as another one, depending on the list here. We've got quite a few entries. This is excellent. It's just ramping up every second.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for entering that into the chat. We have a few more questions that we didn't get to during the presentation, and I'll just take them in the order and kick them over to Dennis. So one of the first questions is, we used to see historic population growth trends under population summary reports. Now it just shows forward projections as a default and no explanation given for how those are derived. Is there a way to retrieve the older data?
Ooh, to retrieve the older data out of the business analyst, we would have to talk to our product team case by case basis to get the older data, because it's not in the system. You'd have to get it like custom outside of the system.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's important to add there is that you'll notice that you can switch between the 2022 data and the 2021 data, as well as in some cases older than that. So just depending on the variables that you're looking for, understand that the historic population growth trends aren't in that report, but you could create a report or create an infographic that did those calculations as well with some of the available data. Really good question also to bring to the CCIM Institute and see if that's a report they could make available in the future. Okay.
You're doing better than the questions than I am. I know how to go around the area. No, go for it, Eric.
Okay, so another question that we have. So how do I access the crime data? It seems to have gone away.
Oh, yeah. So, well, when we first released the 2022 data, we had the crime data in the 2021 data set, and we had to help a lot of customers get to the 21 data set, but it should be, or it is available in the 2022 data set now. So that was pretty exciting to get that back there. And then we have a lot of questions too, since this was a different census year, 2020. The census data is coming out a little later than normal. There is more data coming out from the census. So I believe the demographic report still says some 2010 base data. So it'll soon, I think it's the age by sex or age by income data. I think there's some more data coming out in the 2022 from the 2022 census.
Yeah, very good point. And if anybody was interested to learn more, typing in the ArcGIS blog or blog.arcgis.com, there's certainly a series of articles about our demographic data. You could always search for demographic data and read about that and when those are coming out. And one last question I have right now, we have another question about the retail gap analysis. So the question reads, speaking about the retail gap analysis, a lot of us found great use with it and found out it was removed. We were told by our trainers that the data got muddied a bit by industrial warehouse and distribution, now handled by Amazon last mile locations. Yeah. Will you bring it back because of its usefulness to evaluating retail locations, or will a suitable replacement be developed and launched instead?
A suitable replacement will be launched instead. Yeah, we're definitely working on it's a whole new workflow, because of e-commerce. So it's definitely got the ears of our product managers and our data team. And I know that we're working on something to come out soon. And that's about all I know at this point, because trust me, I've been waiting for the new data set as well too. Eric, I know you have been as well, but I know that there's something coming out very soon.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, appreciate that. And I did want to answer myself one other question that came up. I just want everybody to know that everything that you've seen today and those things that we're discussing, it is part of your CCIM Institute membership. It is included with no additional cost. You have access to the business analyst or site to do business. You can see this screen right here that Dennis is showing that has all of those links on there, and direct access to the ArcGIS online homepage as well. So all included within the membership. You certainly can direct any questions specifically about that, again, to the CCIM Institute. All right, at this time, I don't have any other questions in our chat. If there are any last ones, please get them in. Otherwise, what we can do is essentially thank both Dennis and Nikki. Thank you again for sharing your expertise with us today on the webinar. And also thank you to everyone for attending with us today. As a reminder, the recording and the accompanying presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. And other than that, we hope everyone has a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.